Since its appearance on the face of the earth, man has challenged its geography, seeking to shorten distances, facilitate integration and trade, and ultimately open enduring paths towards the future. The history of humanity teaches us that man's sole limit is at the level of his own hope. The Bioceanico Central Corridor. That the great civilizations and most industrialized nations have flourished by the river banks, by seas and ocean shores. In former times, and up until the 15th century, the Mediterranean was the nerve center for international commerce. Following the discovery of America, the core of the development of commerce and the economy shifted over to the Atlantic Ocean. In current times, globalization establishes a new frame for economic and commercial relationships, and the 21st century holds grand and reliable perspectives for the development of the Pacific Basin. Along it lies the world's largest continent, the most populated land on Earth. It is constituted by 47 countries, among which are 4 of the biggest economies in the world, 3 of the most dynamic ones, and intermediate economies of great development potential. It is the region of the world that made the most economic progress over the past recent years, and one that concentrates more than half of the planet's natural resources and 60% of the globe's population. Just like the Mediterranean was the sea of antiquity and the Atlantic Ocean was the 20th century's, the global economy of the 21st century will have its epicenter in the Pacific Basin. Towards the end of the 13th century, Marco Polo traced the route that would provide the Europeans with a commercial conduit to the Far East. Vasco da Gama's discoveries would later introduce safer and less expensive sea courses to Eastern Asia. 4 centuries later, the necessity to shorten distances enabled to encourage the development of international trade led man to embark on infrastructure works that substantially modified the map of commercial relationships. The Suez Canal, proposed by Ferdinand de Lesseps and inaugurated in 1869, represented a transcendental leap for the transformation of the eastern trade route and had a dramatic effect on the economic development of the Mediterranean region in the international commerce scene. In the same manner, since the discovery of America, the search for an interoceanic path that would open a direct commercial route between the Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean led to the discovery of the Strait of Magellan. In that regard, the U.S. Transcontinental Railroad, inaugurated in 1869, was an essential solution for the growth of the region. In 1914, the construction of the Panama Canal proved once again the importance of infrastructure works for regional integration and international development. Today, the world is witness to the construction of ambitious infrastructure works that set new records, boosted the economy of the influenced regions, and that generated an important integration force in places where oceans and mountains have been barrier for commerce for thousands of years. Example of which is the integration of the Trans-European network, the Alps and the Strait of Messina, the English Channel, the Alps to the east and west of Italy, the straits that separate Sweden and Denmark, the Strait of Gibraltar, the Tsugaru Strait in Japan. The integration of the Swiss high-speed railway network with the European through the Saint-Gothard base tunnel is to become the longest in the world with its 57 kilometers. Physical and commercial integration proved to be a vital factor for the expansion of the nations and its economies, as proven by Europe's growth since the 19th century, and especially Asia's during the last 50 years. Empirical evidence shows that the countries that have deeply integrated themselves with their neighbors and with the world's trade networks have substantially grown and increased the welfare of their inhabitants. The Bioceanico Central Corridor. The strategic importance of the Pacific Basin in the world economy stresses the urgent need for South America to have a reliable access to this ocean. Currently lacking is an efficient physical connection. The Andes mountain range stands as a barrier. 83% of the cargo that circulates between both sides of the southern cone travels by sea, taking longer and more expensive routes. The Cristo Redentor Pass is not a reliable alternative. Exposed to high mountain climates, it closes between 45 to 60 days of every year between May and October. It does not allow logistical planning optimization, and its road capacity is bordering saturation. The abrupt geography does not permit gradual extensions. Despite the operative difficulties it entails, the Cristo Redentor Pass is still the best way to cross the Andean range in the southern cone. Situated in a strategic spot, 2 out of 3 tons of load traveling by land today use this pass. This concentration is due to the fact that the major cities, harbors, and production and commercial centers of Brazil, Argentina, and Chile, and also that there converges the existing infrastructure on both sides of the Andes, as well as the one connecting from southern Brazil. In order to optimize the crossing of the Andes, the Cristo Redentor Pass is the right place. The featured project resolves the Cristo Redentor Pass with the central Bioceanic corridor that includes a 52-kilometer base tunnel, guaranteeing lower costs and transit times, operating all year round. A high-capacity electric freight railway that provides a long-term solution since it will be able to transport up to 70 million tons per year. A single-gauge open railroad system linking the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, fully multimodal for the transportation of cargo in all its formats. The central Bioceanic corridor resolves the weakest point of the Mercosur-Chile axis in only 204 kilometers, improving the crossing of the Andes with an avant-garde solution. This roadwork will bring benefits to an area of over 3 million square kilometers and a population of more than 126 million inhabitants, representing 48% of the South American total, where 70% of the continental economic activity is generated. The enormous potential it represents, Brazil's strong development, Argentina's natural resources, the strategic advantage of Chile as Mercosur's connecting country from and to the Pacific, combined with the economic growth of Asia and the Pacific Basin, shed an increasing demand on the pass that duplicates when considering the improvements on costs, transit time, and reliability. The central Bioceanic corridor is a necessity. It is designed to deal with the growth of demand in the long term because it offers a 204 kilometers railway from the city of Los Andes, Chile, to Luján de Cuyo, Argentina. A 52 kilometers base tunnel from Rio Blanco, Chile, at 1,544 meters above sea level, to Punta de Vacas, Argentina, gradients under 2%. Crossing the Andes range in less than 4 hours with lower costs per ton and providing the unification of customs and border procedures. Counting with cutting-edge multimodal stations able to transport all cargo formats and its combinations. Trucks with the driver, containers, solid and liquid bulk cargo from one side of the Andean range to the other. Integrating railway infrastructures of the same gauge at both sides of the Andes range, which will allow trains to provide service to any origin-destination combination between the two oceans, and providing great improvements in energy efficiency, the environment, and safety. The central Bioceanic corridor is technically feasible. In 2020, and after more than 8 years of construction, the central Bioceanic corridor will be inaugurated to satisfy with a transport capacity of up to 15 million. During a second stage, a second railroad will be built in the open-air stretch, augmenting its capacity up to 18 million tons per year. In the third phase, a second tunnel will be bored and equipped, increasing the capacity to 30 million tons per year. From this point on, by increasing the rolling stocks, capacity will be gradually increased until it reaches 70 million tons per year. The central Bioceanic corridor is economically and financially feasible and will fuel the commercial expansion from Chile to Brazil, Europe, Africa, and West Asia, and from Argentina and Brazil to East Asia, the United States, and Australasia, exploiting faster and cheaper routes. Corporación América has formed a first-class multitask team. Important talent from Chile and Argentina are working online with European consulting companies of vast experience in significant projects such as Gotthard Base Tunnel, Brenner Base Tunnel, and the Strait of Gibraltar Tunnel. Corporación América has submitted private initiatives in Chile and Argentina, which have been declared of public interest by the governments of those countries. The Central Bioceanic Corridor is already generating important advances in the legal integration of Chile and Argentina, setting grounds for a greater integration in the future. Feasibility studies have been submitted to both governments in March 2009. In the path of the great infrastructure works that revolutionized the commerce of the world, the Central Bioceanic Corridor will integrate the nations of the Southern Cone in a joint project with transforming economic, social, political, and cultural benefits. The Central Bioceanic Corridor exists. It is underway. The history of humanity teaches us that man's sole limit is at the level of his own hope.